Okay, good afternoon, all of you. And before I start the class, wish you a very happy Rakhi, happy Raksha Bandhan. Okay, now today our class will be chapter 1, session 3. Session 3 means communication barriers and its measures. So first, while we were talking about the communication, there are different things that enables a good communications. There are different things that are causing a very bad communication or ineffective communication. So those are known as communication barriers. Barriers means obstacle, okay, which is creating the problem for both the for both the sender as well as the receiver to get a proper communication. Okay, the factors, those are called communication barriers. Now there are some things, barriers means obviously the obstacles, the difficulties. Now what are causing these obstacles and difficulties, that we are going to learn in today's lesson. So that is why come to page number 13. Page number 13 from where we will be beginning. Where do communication barriers come from? These communication barriers, where it is coming from, how these communication barriers are created in the very first place. So there are several factors that are responsible for ineffective communication or for creating the communication barrier. The first one is language. Okay, now regarding language, let us just see, suppose you went to the doctor, you are having fever and kind of sore throat, you are having some health problem, you went to the doctor, doctor analyzed your entire means all your problems, and after that the doctor is giving you his report and the doctor is talking to you in complete medical term, okay, using heavy words and trying to tell you, okay, whatever happened. Okay, so what you will be getting, because you are not a doctor, okay, you are just a normal common person. So if you are listening to the doctor's hi-fi that medical terms, okay, which are very difficult for you to remember and utter as well. So if doctor is communicating thoroughly with those terms, you won't be able to understand what exactly happened to me. Either you will worry too much or you will ignore and you will go. Okay, main thing, the communication won't be proper. So why it is happening? Because of the language. So language here is a very big factor. When we are telling something to someone, we have to tell it in such a way so that that person is able to understand it. So therefore the language. For example, why we need teachers, why you people need teachers? Everything is given in the book. You can just study the book and you will get to know whatever you had to know. Okay, why you need teachers? Now teachers are here helping you to understand the text, textbooks, everything that is having a little bit difficult, a little bit advanced level of language, which is difficult for you to understand. So teacher is working as a middle agent. Teacher is interpreting that language into simpler language and coming towards you, and it's getting delivered to you. Therefore you need teachers. The next problem is inappropriate emotion. So now if one of your friend is very angry, he is very upset over something, at that time if you are talking with him about something serious, will he be able to listen to you properly? No. Because here the emotion is a big barrier. When we are very angry or we are very disturbed, psychologically we are very disturbed or very angry due to some reason, at that time we will not be in our normal state of mind to receive anything in a normal way. Either we will hear, but we will hear and we will get it in a different meaning. We will interpret it in a different way. We will misunderstand that thing. Okay, so that is the problem with emotion. Next is lack of attention. Now in the classroom, when the teacher is telling something, explaining something, at that time suddenly like you are becoming absent-minded. Okay, you are looking through the window, you are looking to a bird which is sitting on a branch and then flying away. Your mind is there. So what you are actually doing, your mind, your attention is going towards something else. You are lacking the attention in the class. Maybe your ears are open. Your ears are getting the sound, the teacher's voice is entering your ear, but it is just entering your ear. You are actually not receiving the sound. You are actually not listening, you are just hearing. That's what happens. So at that time, after the class is over, you will suddenly realize, oh, what was it about? What he said, what he said is something important has happened? You will ask like that. So lack of attention is one barrier. Perception and prejudice. Perception and prejudice means so we always have some certain types of beliefs over a certain group of people. Okay, suppose a person who used to lie very often means he is having a very bad reputation about lying. He always lies. Therefore, you have made your conception, you have made your prejudice about that particular person, that whatever he tells maximum is lie only. He just makes up his own thing. So whenever he is telling something seriously also, even if he is telling something very important or truthfully or honestly, you won't be able to take him seriously, or you won't be able to listen, or you won't even care to listen, because your preconception about him is that he is a liar. So that also matters. That is also a big hindrance in our communication. Next is physical challenges. Physical challenges means normal problem that if a person is not able to hear properly, if a person is having the hearing disability, if a person is having some other physical disability, okay, so at that time communication may not be like in a normal way. Next, body language and non-verbal cues. Many times we avoid, misinterpret posture, gesture, expression and voice intonation. A person looking dull may be ill or not well but still be interested in what you have to say. A person giving cold handshake may still be prepared for meeting and confident. So now, like suppose emotionally we are disturbed, emotionally we are having a kind of tension in our own life, okay, maybe some kind of problem is happening in my personal life, but still in my professional life I have to come and I have to perform, I have to give my best there. So at that time also it is possible for us to curtain those emotion and act accordingly to that proper moment. So what we are doing, like standing straight, having a handshake, okay, doing everything in a formal way. So that is creating what? That is creating the communication effective. That is creating the communication effective even if my emotional level is not with me. But still I'm being practical, I'm trying to do everything with my non-verbal requirements, like my posture, the way I'm standing, the way I'm talking, the amount of my voice, the amount of my pitch, my gestures, everything including that thing. Cultural and language differences. Now, difference in accent, pronunciation, custom, use of idioms and phrases, use of figures of speech, difference in body language creates barrier in encoding and decoding the message during communication. Suppose we all are of Bengal origin, so practically we all are Bengalis. Even if we are Bengalis, we know the English part, so we are able to understand the English. Now suddenly, like I am being a Bengali, I am communicating to you, you are able to understand because my accent is according to our level. Now suppose in my place, if you get a person from Germany, or if you get a person from like England, okay, whose English accent is too much refined and too much perfect for you to understand. Okay, in the speed that person will communicate, in the speed the person will throw his words, okay, with his type of accent, even if it is English, you will be getting difficulty in understanding, in capturing that whatever he is telling, because you are not used to it. So that is another thing that creates the barrier. Over expectation. Sometimes we expect more than what is required from the communicator. If teacher says tomorrow we will have little fun, then we expect that he or she will teach tomorrow, while actually will not teach tomorrow, while actually he or she planned to do an interesting activity to teach a new concept. Okay, this happens to you many times. Suppose if the teacher is telling you that, okay, like tomorrow we'll do something interesting, we'll have fun, I have a surprise for you. Okay, in this way the teacher leaves the school, leaves the classroom. Next day when she comes back and she started taking on to a new lesson in a little bit different way, you people will like shout, and you will people say that, ma'am, you have told us that you will be taking in a different way, you will make fun and all, because already your expectation level has gone to a different side. Maybe you will be thinking that maybe we will do games today, but instead of doing games we are in the classroom. So expectation leading to disappointment can also create a communication problem. Next is the noise. So this refers to the physical noise as well as any reason that creates difficulty in getting the message clearly, such as bad handwriting, incomplete message, difficult language or vocabulary. So noise means not only about the sound. Obviously, if the teacher is taking the class and if some of you are talking too much, the undesirable noise is being created in the classroom, and that will hinder the communication. As that is correct, you all know how much hindrance you actually face in such a situation. But along with that, some other things are also included in this noise. That is, suppose I'm checking one answer sheet which is having a very bad handwriting. Okay, a handwriting which is all the time like it's getting very difficult for me to actually understand what the word is he or she has written. So in that case, that is also included as a disturbance, as a noise. So if I'm reading such a bad handwriting, that will also create a kind of irritation in my mind, and I won't be able to read it properly. Maybe the answer is correct, but still, because I'm not able to understand what exactly that person has written, so I won't be giving the proper marks as he deserved. Next, physical barriers. That is, distance, location and physical setup of the place where communication is taking place make communication difficult. Some teachers need to shout at the dean created by the students in the class. In a big hall, it becomes difficult sometimes for the audience sitting at the back to hear what is said by the speaker. So, while communication, suppose a very good speaker is there present amongst you, okay, and he or she is giving good enough lecture, good enough dialogues, okay, very good message is being conveyed. But the problem, what happens, the first benchers, the people who are sitting in the front side of the speaker, they are able to hear whatever that person is talking, whatever that person is speaking, they are able to get it. But the people who are sitting in the back benches or in the back side of the auditorium, they actually fail to listen. They are not able to hear the sound. So that is another problem. So ultimately, if that happens, those people will start feeling bored, that I'm not here getting anything to know, so why we are sitting. So that creates the problem. Next, overcoming barriers to communication. So overcoming barriers to communication, what we have to do in order to avoid this kind of communication, we have to be prepared always. For any kind of situation, we always have to be prepared. Every performance needs preparation. In the previous class, in the previous sessions also, I have told this is one basic requirements for effective communication, that is being prepared. What you are going to say, what you are about to say about in a particular day, you have to be ready for it. You just can't come and start without any preparation. So preparation is needed. Okay. Next, language competency and usage. So the person who is communicating, when the other person who are actually listening, getting involved in that communication, the language must be constant. Okay, both the side must communicate in that same common language which is understandable. Right mood, attitude and behavior. So when a person is communicating, no matter what is going on in his or her personal life, when he is communicating to someone else in some other matter, he must not get confused between that attitude and mood. If someone is sad and then coming to school taking the class, he must decide whether he will be sad or whether he will just keep the sadness aside and do the class. Because if he is taking the class with a sad mood, like talking slow and very soft and way, then the communication won't happen. So we have to avoid certain circumstances. So we have to keep our mood and attitude and behavior correct according to that particular communication. That is important. Next, drop the prejudices and assumption. So whatever prejudice or preconception we are having about belief, about concept, when we are communicating, we will keep those concepts aside. We will not think about that person, whether he is a liar or whether he always tells the truth and all. We will not take into consideration those things. We will first listen. We have our own brain, our logical brain. We will think about it later on. But in order to have an effective communication, first we need to get rid of all these prejudices and preconceptions, as well as assumption. Careful handling of cultural differences. So while we are communicating with people from different culture, country or region, if possible, do some homework on their customs and general etiquettes before beginning with the communication. Be very polite and humble. Respect and humility are the major qualities people seek in such scenarios. Knowledge of local customs and preferences help a lot in cross-culture communication. So suppose you are going out of your cultural side, you are going to a different culture. At that time, it is very obvious you are not accustomed with those culture. But suppose right now if you are going to any of the East Asian countries like Japan or Thailand or Korea, okay, so they have some cultural norms and values of their own which are very much different from us. Okay, there you have to follow certain things. Otherwise, even in the professional field, if you are not being careful about those things, then they will have a very bad conception about you. Your impression will be damaged at that point. But it is not your fault. It is not your fault. You are from a different place. You obviously do not know their customs, but because of that single attitude, okay, which is against their culture, your reputation will be disrupted. So for that, what we need to do before we go into a separate culture, okay, for some time or for a longer time, we have to do some homework. Means we have to do some research about that particular culture. What are the do's and don'ts in that culture? Suppose you are going to the traditional places inside India, very, very traditional places. At that in those places, you have to always maintain that the religion aspect. Before entering anyone's home, you are supposed to keep your shoes outside, shoes and socks outside, and then you are supposed to enter. Many homes follow customs like this, not like us. We are just getting inside home with our shoes, and then in front of the shoe rack we are keeping our shoes, and then changing into the home shoes and getting inside the slippers. But in some home, the shoes are actually made to kept outside. So these are some of the cultural variation which we need to know before we interact with each other. Next is setting up expectation and agendas. So setting up expectation, where before the communication happen, we must not come into any kind of conclusion that today's meeting, I know what is going to happen in today's meeting. This will happen, that will happen, and next this will happen. So I have already expected, I have already made my assumption that what is going to happen. So avoid doing that, because if you have already expected what is going to happen, then why you are coming to the meeting? It will be useless, because in the meeting you will be coming and you will be paying no attention to what is being said. Fine. So that attitude we need to remove. Next is the body language. So while we are communicating with a person, important person, eminent person, we have to maintain a proper body language. We must not be standing and dancing around in front of him. Then he will become irritated. Okay, so body language is very important there. Condition and use of medium of communication. So ensure that communication medium is suitable and work well in oral, in-person communication. There should not be distraction and audible noise. In other kind of communication, the equipment, connection, medium, technology and network should work as desired. Otherwise, they spoil the purpose of the communication. So for example, suppose this setup, okay, many times you have also faced during the class while the teacher is taking the class, because of network problem or because of any kind of technical problem, the entire communication or entire class is getting disrupted. So for this, what we need to do, what we all need to do, we have to, before we start any kind of class like this, we have to check each and everything, whether they are in a proper condition, whether they need some kind of development, some kind of changes or not. Okay, what more can we do? So we have to be prepared beforehand, before coming to the coming to this kind of situation. So in some important places like very big concerts or very big programs, there are multiple checkups. Okay, they keep on checking everything. Okay, like they keep on testing, checking everything, because those are so much important that such communication programs must never get interrupted for any difficulties. Otherwise, there will be a huge loss of money. So that is the condition and use of medium of communication. So here we are ending the session 3. So I hope there is no problem regarding this chapter. And today's class will be till here. In my next class, I hope to finish the session 4 as well as session 5, because in session 5 we will be having the some things related to your English language. Okay, so bye everyone, see you again in my next class, and happy Raksha Bandhan. Stay safe, it's very dangerous now outside. Okay.